Ladies and gentlemen, if you could take your seats now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could take your seats now, we're going to go ahead and start our program this morning. We want to respect everybody's time and have everybody out and getting on with their day by 9 o'clock this morning. I'm David James from Channel 2 and the Zone Sports Network. PK's flying solo without me this morning, so I could be here. Appreciate that. We want to welcome you all to the Road Home's annual one-by-one breakfast. We've been virtual the last 2 years, so it's good to be back in person. Some people are still watching us online this morning and joining us, so hello to all of them, and hello to all of you who've made it down here this morning to Little America. We appreciate you coming together to help the Road Home and help those in the community who are less fortunate and are battling homelessness right now. We're here today to inspire you to become part of the Road Home family, and we hope to connect you to the mission and the work of the Road Home and foster your commitment to helping people step out of homelessness and back into self-sufficiency and into a better life. I'm here this morning probably because of two little girls who saw me one night and have never seen me again, and I don't know their names and they don't know my name. If you've ever read the book, 5 People You Meet When You Get to Heaven, anybody read that book? Am I the only one? Yes? Tawana's read it. Thank you. Anybody else? If you haven't read that book, you got to read it. It's about the people you meet in the course of your life who impact your life and you have no idea. And it's about the things that happen in your life and you wonder why they happen and how they impact other people's lives. And afterwards, we all find out. And I probably wouldn't be here this morning if I hadn't been serving dinner at the old shelter downtown. And I was there with a church youth group, and I was talking to the students about what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And these two girls, probably 6 and 7 years old, dressed in white dresses like they were going to church. They looked like they were going to a wedding or something. And they were laughing and giggling and swinging on the door. Is it time yet? And in those days, we never started dinner till 6:30. It was 6:15, so it wasn't time yet because there's rules. I said, not yet, in a couple minutes. And they giggled and closed the door. And we kept talking. And a minute later, they opened the door. Is it time yet? And they were kind of swinging on the door because they were so short that they could swing on the door handle. And then a third time, is it time yet? And they were giggling. And I thought, they aren't scarred by this at all. They're living in a homeless shelter, and who knows what went wrong in their family's life. But they aren't scarred at all. They're having a great time. But if somebody doesn't do something, they will end up scarred. This innocence can't last forever. And it was a powerful moment. I can still see their faces. And they may go through their lives wondering, why did we live in a homeless shelter when we were young? But now I've done fundraisers for the Road Home. I've gotten to know a lot of the staff. Michelle can call me and basically get me to do anything, anytime, anywhere. And it's because of those two girls, Michelle. So we'd like to let you know that the most powerful part of this event comes in the final 10 minutes or so. If you have to leave early, please be sure to get a pledge form from your table captain. And seek out a staff member if you need any assistance donating online. Also, we should mention, we have parking validations for everyone. So find a staff member before you leave and make sure you get your parking validation. We want to begin today with a couple of thank yous. We'd like to thank O.C. Tanner. And we'd also like to thank Meyer Brown. They have graciously underwritten the cost of today's event, which means that every dollar raised here today is going to go to support the Road Home, none to the overhead of the event. So a round of applause for them. I'd also like to acknowledge some of the members of the Road Home Board of Trustees. They're in the audience today. If you could stand up. And also we have some elected officials here today. We've been partnering with government the last few years. I'm sure you've heard and read about that. And we'd like to thank all of you for your support. If you could all stand up and be recognized, both our elected officials here today and people from the Board of Trustees. We want to thank you all for your service and your contributions. They've been important, whether you've been participating at the city, county, or state level. It's been critical. Right now, I want to welcome up the president of the Board of Trustees of the Road Home, Becky Pickles. She's been involved with the Road Home for over a decade now, beginning as a volunteer with children ages 2 to 5. If you didn't know, we have a lot of families and a lot of children at the Road Home. She was teaching social skills, she was teaching literacy skills and development. In 2016, she joined the Road Home's Board of Trustees, and in 2021, she became the board president. Over her many years of service, she's provided a lot of support, a lot of insight, and really helped with the management of the Road Home. Please welcome up Becky Pickle.
Thank you, David. David, you've been such a good friend to us for many years, so thank you so much for being here. And good morning to all of you, my friends. I just get so much energy from all of you being in this room in person. Hello to all of you online as well, but it's so lovely to get to see each of you together. So thank you for being here. It's pretty special. About 15 years ago, my husband Scott and I began serving as foster parents. And we welcomed our son into our home at age 3.5. We had the opportunity to adopt our son 2 years later. Over the years, as our son learned to express the experiences and memories that he had, we heard and saw in him the intense, complex trauma he and his mother experienced when they did not have a home. The impact on his body and his little brain was serious. The impact on his mother was serious. Homelessness is terrible. It's painful, it's frightening, and it has serious long-term traumatic effects on anyone that experiences it. But the effect on children is especially troubling. And as I learned more, in an effort to help my son work through these experiences, this led me to want to find other ways to help. I started volunteering, as David mentioned, at the Midvale Family Shelter, working in a playgroup for young children, to give parents a much-needed moment of respite. Volunteering at the Midvale Family Shelter was hard. It is hard. My heart breaks often, and I learn new things every day about the incredible barriers to secure housing that tens of thousands of Utahns face today. However, the ability for us to come together and make a difference for each other is real. As I got to know the incredible staff of the Road Home, that you'll get to hear from several of them today, and learn from them, the volunteer work I was doing became easier. I was seeing positive outcomes, results, the impacts of best practices, and the focus of our trauma-informed team. While the hard moments are very low, the wins are incredibly high. What a special gift to witness our team's work at the Road Home. The best way for me to describe how I feel about the staff of the Road Home is the Shanti Deva prayer. Shanti Deva was an 8th century Indian Buddhist monk, and I'd love to share Shanti Deva's prayer with you today. May I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector of those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. For as long as space endures, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world. I'm so thankful for the great work of our staff, and have to take every opportunity I can to sing their praises. They're just incredible. Their extreme compassion and care is unmeasured. Their jobs are not easy, but their loyalty and dedication is always inspiring. And while our staff at the Road Home are truly the best equipped for this challenging role, they cannot do this alone. Homelessness is a community-wide problem, and we need everyone in the community helping where they're able. I was so encouraged meeting several of you this morning, telling me that you're here because it's important to you to be part of this community and part of the solutions that we need to address homelessness. So, what can you do to help our friends experiencing homelessness? Well, I'm glad you asked. Showing up today is a great start. Consider making a financial donation to support our programming. Join us as a volunteer. Serving lunch or dinner at the Gail Miller Resource Center or the Men's Resource Center is a great place to start volunteering. Sorting donations, cleaning, playgroups, host a fundraiser with your network like this one today. Leading activities like bingo or a craft or putting together a study group for teens. There is a need for all of this, and we would love to have you join us. In my business, donation drives are something that all of my employees really look forward to. It's a great team activity, and it really pulls everyone together. And there's a significant need for in-kind donations as well. We need supplies like diapers, socks, period products, clothing, bedding, underwear. Your family, your youth group, your church group, your sports team, neighbors, scout troop, All of these groups could host a donation drive or maybe sign up to make sack meals and drop them off at the Midvale Family Shelter. I have to say that so many of you showed up for us and our friends experiencing homelessness during this pandemic with hand sanitizer and masks and cleaning products and food. And anytime we put a shout out, there was someone at the door showing up at all of our different properties with things that we needed to help the people that we serve. And we're just so grateful for you, so thank you so much. But the need and the barriers continue. The barriers for deeply affordable housing have only increased in the last 2 years. Please consider volunteering or organizing a donation drive, and our wonderful volunteer coordinating team can help you get started. While financial and in-kind donations are critical, there are also other ways to engage that bring value. Advocating for deeply affordable housing with your city, county, and state leaders is another great way to help. Get to know them. Many of these great leaders are here with us today, and we're so grateful to each of you for your partnership and support of our permanent supportive housing programs at Palmer Court, the Magnolia, and the Wendell Apartments. But my friends, our community needs more. Join us in learning about the different types of housing and the barriers to housing security. Make the call for deeply affordable housing for everyone a priority in your cities and communities. We can help thousands break out of the cruel cycle of poverty and homelessness together, but we all need to work on this together. My own personal journey learning about homelessness started 15 years ago with a scared little boy who now calls me mom. The people I've met and the experiences I have had are treasured and significant in the makeup of what motivates me to get out of bed each morning. I know many of you feel the same call to help, and we thank you for joining us in the service of others. Our friends experiencing homelessness are worth your resources. They are worth your time. They are worth your energy. Thank you for being here today, and I look forward to continuing this great work with each of you. Thank you.
So now I'd like to welcome up some of the real heroes. They are in the trenches every day. It's not glamorous, but it's rewarding work, but it's also really hard work. And they are going to share some of their stories with you right now. The staff at the Road Home does incredible work, and they meet with a variety of people who have a variety of challenges and different backstories. And sometimes sharing those stories is really difficult, but if you don't know the story, it's really hard to help the person. I want to introduce, and as I introduce you, Tyson, can you hold up your hands so people know who you are? Tyson Rogers is a street outreach supervisor, meeting the homeless folks where they are around town. Tuan Lee Win is a Midvale Family Resource Center family advocate manager. Claudia Payer, Gail Miller, Resource Center Supportive Services Manager. Natalie Delgado is the Men's Resource Center Director. Marissa Beckstrom is a Housing Administrative Manager, and Cerise Nord is the Permanent Supportive Housing Services Manager. And Michelle Flynn, you probably already know. They're each going to share their stories with you, just a minute or two at a time. They each have different experiences and are really powerful. And just in advance, I want to thank all of you for all the work you do. Tyson?
Morning, everyone. So, as he mentioned, I am the street outreach supervisor. So quickly, what that really means is that it's my job to go out and assist the families that you see that are really struggling right now in places like RVs that I'm sure you've seen around the city, encampments, cars, and what our team does is we work with people who have children, literally homeless children that are spending each night on the streets, and we go out and engage with them and get them into housing. I just wanted to speak really about why I do that and why I do this work. I've lived in Salt Lake my entire life, a very lengthy 33 years already that I've made it to, and I love this community. I love the people of this state and really the people of Salt Lake. And so I wanted to find a way to give back to that community that I love so much and that my children and my family are also a part of. And so that's really why I started at the Road Home. When I was a child, I always learned, mostly through actually going to church, that if somebody needs help, you help them. And that's kind of always been the philosophy of Salt Lake and Utah in general. No matter what demographic lines you may cross, black, white, poor, we will help you here. And people come from all over the country to receive the services that we have in Utah because they hear that people in Utah will help you. And that is not a common thing, and seems less and less common these days more than ever. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about the love that I have for this community and the fact that a lot of people in this community right now are struggling. The pressure that a lot of us feel is very real, and it builds up the less support you have. So many single parents that we have right now are really struggling. Many of the clients that I have and the families that we help are single parents who just can't make it anymore. And obviously, none of that was in our control over the last 2 years. And so that pressure is just really getting to people in a way that I think we all can probably feel. Things feel very pressurized in society right now, and the Road Home wants to provide a way to relieve that pressure. And so that's what I spend my days doing with my team. There's me and 2 others, and we literally go out every day and try to find those families and help them. And so I just wanted to thank you for giving me this chance to speak to you, everybody here today. I truly do love this community and have plans to do even greater things in the community as I go on in my career. And so, yeah, I just really wanted to kind of bear witness to the fact that I really do love this community and love Salt Lake, and I want to thank you for everything that everybody in this room also does for the city, and I would love to continue that. So thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tuan Lee Win. I'm the Housing Advocate Manager at the Midvale Family Resource Center. I manage a wonderful group of employees. They're very essential to the work. The advocates at the Road Home are our frontline workers at each resource center. They are essential because they keep each center running 365 days, 24/7. They're first to greet our guests and individuals who walk through the doors seeking shelter. On a daily basis, our advocate staff makes sure that our guests' basic needs are met. So all the donated clothing items and hygiene items, they're being distributed by our advocates in each resource centers. They pass out our donated sack meals from the community, as well as food items from our pantry. They help manage beds, making sure each families and individuals are assigned to a bed with beddings and sheets. And they conduct security rounds in the dorms twice, almost hourly. They're first to respond to any emergency or crisis happening in shelter and help with de-escalation and conflict resolution. So their jobs some days are tough. Our Road Home advocates work hard to make sure that our resource centers are clean, safe, and welcoming for all of our guests. Advocates are accessible to our guests 24/7, and therefore they interact with our guests more than any other employee in our resource centers. And because of this, they are in a very unique position to build trust, rapport, and understanding for each individual seeking services. They can provide a unique insights into our guest circumstances, and through these interactions, advocates can open windows of opportunity to start housing conversations, encourage engagement with case management and housing locators to meet their housing goals and step out of homelessness. At the end of the day, I'm very proud to be in this work and work for an agency that are full of driven, compassionate, and kind human beings, whose mission is dedicated not only to end homelessness, but also to stand for equality, compassion, and inclusion. I choose to show up every day because I want to help our guests find stability and dignity again in their lives. um, lives that they did not choose, but yet was unfortunately dealt to them. I know I'm not alone in this because you're all here today to support this cause, and for that, I'm really truly grateful. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Claudia Payer, and I'm the Supportive Services Manager at the Gail Miller Resource Center. On my first day as a case manager in 2019, my entire team placed bets on if I would show up the next day or ever again. Most of them bet I wouldn't. Here I am, almost 3 years later, with the privilege of working on the shelter side of things at the downtown shelter at Rio Grande, the MRC, Men's Resource Center, and now Gail Miller Resource Center. When I started, I was at the road home because I wanted to dive into social work and figured it would look good on my resume. Not long after starting, I realized that it was more than that for me. Today, I'm at the road home because I'm extremely passionate about this work and I want to do everything I can to advocate for and serve this population. GMRC took the good parts and models from the downtown shelter on Rio Grande and elevated them, creating a purpose-built facility that is resource-oriented. Our resource centers are a perfect example of a collaborative effort resulting in guests getting the support they need to exit homelessness. The case management team works on a variety of needs for guests, but ultimately our goal is to house people. When someone is housed, it is inspiring to think about all the teams that support that one person during their time in shelter. From the moment the guest walked in, they were greeted by our housing advocates, got hot meals from our kitchen team, and the dorms cleaned by our facilities team. All while in the background, our development team managed volunteering and fundraising. My team, the case management team, is able to work with these individuals on housing due to all of the support the guests get from the other teams in shelter. It is truly a joint effort, and that collaboration results in higher housing numbers. It is our goal to support folks with stepping out of homelessness and back into our community, and we couldn't do it without each other. So thank you so much for giving me this chance to chat.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Natalia Delgado. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the director of the Men's Resource Center. To start, I really want to emphasize my gratitude to every single one of you for being here today. We have very busy schedules, and yet just you being here shows that you're compassionate, that you're kind, and that you want to help people. And that is so much just to say. So thank you very much, and on behalf of the road home, we really appreciate it. So a little bit, I was born and raised in Mexico, and that ingrained a very collectivistic value system in me. When people work together, it is incredible what a common goal can do, and astounding things can happen. I see this collectivistic result every single day, both at the MRC and all resource centers. We have so many incredible teams, so many different departments in every single facility, and all have very unique roles, but they're all much needed. Together, we work on the same goal, to end homelessness. Just like Claudia mentioned, there's so many different interactions that our clients have on a daily basis with so many different staff members that are crucial to this individual's journey. Every day, staff will show incredible amounts of compassion and will be part of this guest's journey as they're experiencing homelessness. I cannot express the challenges that we go through every single day. I cannot express the suffering that we witness, the highs, the lows that we get to be a part of. It is sometimes very hard to bear. Yet, we come back. We show up, not only the staff, but also the guests. They show up. That matters. Staff, the road home, every minute, every day, all year long, we come back and we keep trying. We're not perfect. We're always learning. We're always training. So many trainings. We're always growing, but we're trying, which is important. And more importantly, it's because the guests deserve it. In all honesty, we will continue to do this work, no matter the barriers, no matter the challenges, no matter the obstacles, the lack of funding, the lack of services. We will continue to come back because the individuals that we serve deserve this. They deserve a second chance. They deserve to be seen and to be recognized and to feel heard. They deserve dignity and respect. Yes. Thank you. They also deserve to be just like you and me, to be part of this community. They deserve to be part of the community again. So I am truly honored and humbled to be working for the Road Home and to work alongside the most resilient, but also the most compassionate human beings, both in our staff, but also within our clients that we see. Thank you very much for helping us and to fight our mission to help people step out of homelessness and back into our community. Or in my words, as I would like to say, to get people home. Everyone deserves a home. Thank you very much for being here.
Hello. All right, this would be a great time for a cheer from next door. Nope? All right, I'll just stay nervous. Good morning. My name is Marissa. I work with housing teams at the Road Home. I feel quite lucky to have been working here for almost 8 years. I choose the word lucky because working here feels like home, truly. I don't say that lightly. Ever since the first day I walked in, it has always felt like home for me. I work with a team that provides housing navigation support for housing resource centers, outreach teams, domestic violence shelters across the county. This support consists of connecting folks to rental assistance, deposits, other funding options, and finding open units for them to move into. Finding open units means finding a unit regardless of criminal history, regardless of credit history, evictions, regardless of drug use, regardless of income. We make sure that everyone has access to housing no matter the barrier. This is a very important part of this job. It feels humbling to speak with my colleagues here on stage. I have seen each of them overcome impossible barriers to provide support to those experiencing homelessness. And to address the elephant in the room, the pandemic, the resiliency and creativity that has been exhibited by these teams to find housing options in a world in chaos has been truly inspiring. Since the shutdown in 2020, or roughly March 1st of that year, the Road Home has been able to pay over 800 deposits to move individuals, veterans, and families into safe and sustainable housing. Many of these programs include ongoing support in housing to ensure that each household feels supported and does not have a recurring period of homelessness. This ongoing support is vital, as we know. It's not just moving someone into housing, but making sure that they can stay there and maintain that support. It is quite clear that this work cannot happen without community. By community, I mean everyone in this room. I mean the community partners meeting together to discuss our society's most vulnerable individuals, the client advocates sitting with a family undergoing trauma, the grant funders and local donors, and I specifically want to highlight the property managers that we rely on so heavily to provide affordable and low barrier units. Again, this is regardless of background, income, evictions. We know how hard the housing market is. It's getting more unaffordable and competitive every single day, so these property managers are a vital part of what we do. We have worked with 293 unique property managers since that same date in 2020. Each and every one of these humans has made an impact. Every single signed lease means a new home being made in our community. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for taking the time to be here. And thank you for caring about the work we all do together.
Hello, I'm Cerise, and I work with our permanent supportive housing teams. I remember the first time I entered the doors down at 210 South Rio Grande. I was simply bringing in donations. That was 21 years ago. I immediately recognized the compassion in this organization and felt the pull to join. I was lucky enough that within a month I was working as a case manager. I have obviously never looked back. We have learned and we have grown over the years. We started out, as many of you know, as Travelers Aid Society, helping stranded travelers. Now, as the Road Home, we focus on housing. 21 years later, my job title looks a little different. I am the Permanent Supportive Housing Services Manager. Basically what that means is I get to supervise the case management teams at Palmer Court and the Wendell Apartments. Each night, we house about 300 people. What's unique about permanent supportive housing is the case management piece. So these properties have on-site case management. Our teams work to, first of all, build relationships and learn people's stories, and secondly, really support housing stability. That can look like just connecting with basic needs, some food, clothing, those kinds of things. These programs are designed for folks who have experienced chronic homelessness. So we are starting with folks that have lived on the street, sometimes for decades. Once stabilization has happened, then we can look at doing the other things, connecting with medical care, mental health resources, potentially jobs, training, education, those kinds of things. Palmer Court specifically opened in 2009. And what is unique about Palmer Court is that we are the only permanent supportive housing program here that also houses families. The case management team, we have some specific programming for children and things like that, book clubs and groups and things. So thank you to the partners that come in and volunteer and support those programs. What we see sometimes doesn't seem like huge successes, but they are life-changing. I started obviously down in the shelter years ago, and about 15 years ago, I met a little girl and her little brother. They were among the first families that we moved into Palmer Court in 2009. This year, she's graduating high school. She's been able to attend the same schools the entire time she's lived at Palmer Court. And her brother's memories are of growing up in a home and stabilized. They're not the memories of them in shelter. So that's why I do what I do. And that's why permanent supportive housing is a critical piece to solving homelessness. And I'm very excited to be a part of that. Thank you.
I don't even need to say anything, right? It's almost like I planned it that way. Such an honor to be part of this team. My name's Michelle, and I'm one of the staff of the Road Home. Been here for a couple of decades, like Cerise, and seen a lot of changes. 79 families, 141 children. I need my glasses. 451 men, 40 women. Last night, when all of us were sleeping in our beds, there were 742 people cared for by the Road Home team in the homeless resource centers we operate. We also supported 1,000 people throughout our housing programs with rental assistance and case management, as you've heard from our team here today. We exist to help people overcome homelessness. We center our work around this beautiful mission. And this is reflected in every program we operate. We provide outreach and shelter to offer a place to stay while we help you with whatever you need to move into a home. We work with every partner in this community who engages with people experiencing homelessness to provide help in navigating the bumpy and winding road of finding housing that will work for each specific person and family. We own and operate a variety of supportive housing programs because we know that a wide spectrum of housing is necessary to fit the needs of each individual and household. In fact, 87% of people we help with shelter resources stay less than 6 months. I invite you to consider that those individuals and families, 87% of those who end up in a shelter, could have stayed housed with the right resources available to them when they were needed and how they were needed. The remaining 13% of those that we serve have a lifetime of barriers built up through traumas that have happened to them. Our team surrounds these individuals with compassion and love and support. Our team uses their skills, expertise, and researched best practices to provide the highest level of support and achieve the greatest outcomes of housing as quickly as possible. We are always working to improve our programs, increase our effectiveness, and help meet our community's goals. We listen and learn. We learn from our frontline staff, from data and analysis, and we learn from those who have lived through an experience of homelessness. Based on those learnings, I'm just going to share with you 2 things that we're going to do next at the Road Home. In partnership with Shelter the Homeless, 4th Street Clinic, we have created a program born out of our work over the past 2 years using motels to provide immediate non-congregate shelter to older adults and those with vulnerable medical conditions. We know for these individuals, their serious health risks are exacerbated by staying in a traditional congregate facility. We have known for a long time that people who are in their 70s, 80s, and even older do not belong in a shelter. Of course, no one belongs in a shelter. But people in wheelchairs with oxygen tanks, colostomy bags, severe diabetes are at a more significant health risk due to those conditions. Our new program will have medical support, housing support, and connections with the type of supportive and senior housing that is so needed by this group of individuals. We already have a commitment of financial support from Mayor Wilson and the Salt Lake County Council. Thank you. And we will be seeking support from many others in this room. Doesn't that sound like the right thing to do? Of course, we need to do this. For our second priority initiative, we're going to reimagine and transform our approach to sheltering families who fall into homelessness. Now, we need our state and local partners and community support systems to help keep families housed so we can reduce the number who ever need to show up at our front door with their little children in hand and whatever belongings they can carry. Remember those 87% who stay 6 months or less in a shelter? Let's figure out how to keep them in their own homes. But for those who do reach out to the road home, here's what we're going to do. We're going to be completely upending our program at the Midvale Family Resource Center to drastically reduce the number of families that are staying in that congregate space. Now I lost my place. We want to provide more space for each family to have privacy and on-site support and resources. Our support services will become mobile to meet families where they are and using places such as non-congregate motels. We will focus on what we have heard from families with lived expertise and provide robust and flexible support for childcare, transportation, employment, income support, and longer assistance with rent. We will need significant investments in rental assistance to bring this to fruition. We will not and are not doing this alone. We're part of a smart, strong, and committed collaboration, including the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness and the State Office of Homeless Services. Sometimes I feel impatient. I recognize I can communicate with a sense of urgency. Well, this situation is urgent, and the opportunities are before us. Low rental vacancy rates combined with skyrocketing increases in rents are magnifying that slim margin between remaining housed and becoming homeless. Let's meet this challenge by leaping forward in the development of deeply affordable housing. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. We provide refuge and help people out of homelessness into a home. We provide resources that people are seeking to help them move into stable housing. We provide relief, helping people out of crisis and trauma and into safety, providing support and relief from the daily burden and stresses of homelessness. We are the ones working at that ragged edges of our community where public policy meets real people, people in need. I commit to you that we will continue doing this work of helping people who become homeless, and I ask that you step up and do more. Ask questions, commit to helping keep people in their homes so that together we can reduce the number of people who are faced with this crisis of homelessness. The artist Georgia O'Keeffe defined art as filling a space in a beautiful way, and that is how I see the road home. A cornerstone of our city, our county, and our state, filling this hole in the fabric of our community in a beautiful way. Thank you for being part of this team. Now I'd like to thank our friends at Gantry and the many talented artists who donated their services to produce the video that we'll be showing next. Thank you.
You're home early? Yeah. Is everything okay? They said that that would be covered. Just a minute. Hold on. We can't afford that. I'm sorry, we just can't.
I don't know. I just can't do this anymore.
Fine. She's not here yet. I'm gonna be late. I'm really trying to make this work. I'll be there as soon as I can.
Mom, can we take my rocket ship?
No, we don't have room for that. Come
Come on, boys, we need to go. Excuse me, sir, can you please help me with something? This shouldn't be out here. Hello, can you please? This is getting damaged out here. Can you please? Sir, I just need something. This shouldn't be outside. I need something to... Hey, that's mine! It needs to be protected. It's priceless. Ma'am, can you please help me? I just need... Can you please help us? We just need a place to stay. This is priceless to me.
Okay, you're all set. Do you have any questions?
When can we move in?
Well, we can get your things. The road home provides some supplies for you to move in, and we can go over there right now.
Thank you.
Homelessness doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anyone.
All right, guys, let's check out your new apartment.
The solution to homelessness is homes.
All right, boys, let me show you your room.
The shelter and housing programs at the Road Home give our most vulnerable neighbors, including men, women, and families with children, a chance to rebuild their lives in a place of their own. Help today at theroadhome.org.
Now I'd like to introduce someone that many of you probably know. She's smart, she's compassionate, she's quietly hilarious. Pamela Atkinson is very active in our community. She's held numerous positions. She has worked for multiple governors and currently works with Governor Cox, advising him on policy and some of the things that are happening in our community and how we can all have a bigger impact. She works with him, she'll work with you. She's a tireless advocate for those experiencing homelessness in our community. Ladies and gentlemen, Pamela Atkinson.
Good morning. Oh dear. Good morning. It was morning the last I looked at it. Thank you all for being here. You know, the Road Home is one of my favorite organizations. You heard from Michelle. You heard from 6 of her wonderful staff. And there's many more, like the people you heard this morning sitting up here. They're actually heroes of mine. Not many people outside of the Road Home and the other providers know what it was like for them during the pandemic. They not only had to mitigate the pandemic, they had to continue the work of getting people out of homelessness. So they were actually doing double duty. And I know a lot of other people were doing that during the pandemic. But they had to deal with people who were angry, who were upset, who were homeless, and often felt helpless. One of the reasons that I joined up as a team member with the Road Home was because I remember going into, when I was doing outreach, going into an area, and there was a mother with 4 children. The oldest was 7. And then years later, 7 years later actually, I went into the Road Home family shelter, and I looked at this young 14-year-old, and she looked at me and she said, "I know you." And here she was, 7 years later, at the Road Home with her baby, and she'd been homeless all of this time. Well, the Road Home certainly gave her what she needed, and I actually kept in touch with her, and she's now doing so well. You see, the Road Home staff, they not only give care, they care for the people that they have in there as clients and residents, but they care about them, and that's the difference. There are 139 prepositions in our English American dictionary, and two of the most important are about and for. And because when you care for people, that's one thing, but caring about them, and that's going the extra mile, that takes in the total person. I cannot tell you how many people I've met that I and my colleagues rescued from the Jordan River and that area in camping and got them into the Road Home, and how they turned out. Literally thousands of men, women, and children have turned out to be contributing members of society, all because of Michelle Flynn and her incredible staff. Could we give those staff a large round of applause, please? My printer didn't work last night, so I have a few notes on my computer. You know, when you think about what they're doing, it costs so little, like $32 a night for a single person, or $100 pretty close for a family. And when you think that you, yourself, that you have the power within you to actually make a difference and help, you can do that today. And by the way, I know many of you have been doing it for years, and for that I say thank you, and it's been much appreciated. But when I see people walking along the street and they say, "Hi, Pamela," and I look at them and I realize the last time I saw them, they were in the Road Home. But because of the staff and the advocacy, because they not only care about them, they give them love. And when you give love, it actually gives people hope. That's the end result of what the Road Home and their staff are doing. I remember finding this mother and her 3 kids, and one freezing night we were out on outreach. The mother's eyes were, I still remember them. It was helplessness in those eyes. And so I took her into the overflow shelter, and the kids started playing on the floor. And I explained what was happening to the staff. And I went back a few days later, 3 days to be exact, to see how they were doing. And you know what? That mother, within 3 days, had hope in her eyes. And she actually smiled and said, "Hello, Pamela." The staff had given her that hope, and she was on the road to becoming housed, a job, and help with the children. You know, in the program, it says speaker, but some of you already know I'm not here to just speak. I'm here to do the ask. I am going to ask you to dig deep today. And there's different ways. We have 3 ways that you can give. And as an illustration, you know, the first way you can give cash. So you know what cash looks like? Here we go. I know we don't use it as often as we used to. And then you can do it the old-fashioned way with a check. So I pulled out a check, and I realized, you know, I'd forgotten how to write a check. So I haven't done it for so long. We all do everything online. If you want to write a check, you have my permission to do it. And you know what? It's so easy. It says date, so you fill in the date. And then it says pay to and what have you. And I just had to write the road home. And then there's a place for the amount and a place for your signature. And there's even a little note, so I could put for donation. So it didn't take me too long, but I'm glad it helped me by having the instructions on it. So if you want to do that, you're welcome to do that and put it on the table with the envelopes that you'll be getting soon. You know, you can give a one-time donation and have an immediate effect, or you can sign up for a monthly and give so much every month, because the people then know what the budget they have and the pledges that have been made. You can complete a pledge form and enclose your donation. You can go to the website and scan the QR code, and be careful when you scan the QR code. I was scanning something the other day, and I ended up with a recipe for a lovely dinner. I mean, I've used it, but just be careful how you do that, okay? But you can scan that code, and it should be up on the screen. There you go. You can scan that, and then Alicia put something in my notes. She said, give butter. Okay. It's the next slide up. Yeah, so the next slide should show you. It's also a QR code. It's a QR code, and actually I was thinking of butter and spreading it on toast, but that's okay. I appreciate the notes. And, you know, if you need assistance in giving and have questions about, you know, how much is right, you can give a certain amount, but please add at least 1 0 to what you're thinking of giving. And if you want to, please add 2 zeros. And gosh, we'd be ever so grateful for that. And when you see the difference, I mean, it's changing people's lives. What kind of power is that? I know when I wrote this check out and I was trying to see how many people it would help, and I felt really powerful when I added the zeros. So get some satisfaction and fun out of today's breakfast. If you remember, Winston Churchill said, "You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give." And that is so true, and so many of you have discovered that. The table captains are there to help you, and we have some of the Road Home staff around the room who will also help you. So what I want you to do now is to take an envelope, a pledge form, get out your credit card, scan, write a check, put cash in those envelopes. And remember, you are changing people's lives for good. Thank you so much.
She doesn't get enough credit for being quietly hilarious, but I told you, quietly hilarious. We promised to get you out of here by 9 o'clock, so we want to wrap this up. I want to thank all the speakers today for sharing their stories. I'd like to encourage all of you not only to give, as Pamela just asked right now, but also to give of your time. If you haven't volunteered at the Road Home, if you haven't had a chance to interact with the clients, if you do that even for a few minutes, you'll find that all the stories that you heard today were even more true than you knew as you sat and listened to them. So please volunteer your time, your talent, and your treasure. We want to thank you for coming down and giving us an hour of your time this morning. We really appreciate that. And please turn in your donation forms to your table captains. We'll be collecting packets in the lobby. And remember to ask for your parking validation on your way out the door. Find a staff member. Thank you all for coming today, and we hope to see you soon at the Road Home.